Hello, my name is Victor and welcome back to the channel. And I'm sure you can tell by the sound of my voice, I had a cold recently that hit me like a truck. So if I'm a little low energy or sound a little congested, it's because I am. But it's okay because in today's video, I don't really want to go into any in-depth analysis. I mostly just want to do some stock talk, specifically about 4 stocks that I have been talking about for the last month. If you're a subscriber here on the channel, you will know those stocks already, but for those of you who are new, I'm going to talk about Realty Income, Microsoft, Meta, and Visa. And these are all stocks that I have been personally buying with all of the volatility here in 2026. And to provide you with a visual, I created this graph, but I purposely left out which color is which stock. But I'm sure some of you with a sharp eye may already be able to tell which stock is which, just based off of the patterns here in the graph. And speaking of patterns, one thing that I have noticed is that some stocks are recovering already here in mid-April. One in particular is the purple stock here, which is showing almost a V-shaped recovery with some heavy inclines in the graph. But we'll get to that here in just a second. I want to get started here with the worst performing stock of the graph, and that is the one in orange. And honestly, if you had told me this specific stock was going to be one of my worst performers in my portfolio at the beginning of the year, I probably wouldn't have believed you because it's a stock I have owned for many, many years, and it's Microsoft. It's insane to me though that Microsoft is being categorized with like Adobe and CRM. Like how? Microsoft is so diversified. And when I think of Microsoft and looking ahead to their earnings, which is going to be at the very end of the month here in April, one thing that I am absolutely going to keep an eye on is that Azure cloud revenue growth, because it seems to be what Wall Street is nitpicking when it comes to Microsoft specifically. Now, I do get the argument that considering the CapEx spend in terms of AI that Microsoft has for 2026, you would expect to see the AI and the cloud growth grow considering how much they're spending. But in my opinion, Microsoft is an absolute buy at these current prices, and I will continue to keep it on my buy list so long as Wall Street keeps kicking it down, and the lower it goes, the heavier I will buy. The next stock that we have is the one here in green, which is down negative 13% year to date, and that stock is Visa. But when I think of Visa and compare it to a company like Microsoft, one thing right off the bat that Visa does not have when it comes to a specific risk is financial risk, in my opinion. When I think to Microsoft, they have a ton of financial risk because they are spending so heavily on AI, and there's no guarantee that they're going to get any kind of returns close to the amount that they're spending for the year. Visa doesn't have that kind of risk. Now, it is true that there are still a whole bunch of other things going on in the world right now, including inflation, which may or may not decrease through the rest of 2026, and of course, all of the geopolitical risk throughout the world. But when I look forward or think to Visa's earnings, Visa's a company that has a stellar reputation for beating on the top and bottom lines. So again, if Visa is going to be trading here at a discount, in my opinion, I am going to continue buying. Okay, now we're actually getting towards the top half of the graph, and it is that purple stock that I had talked about earlier in the video, and that is Meta. And Meta was down massively, almost 20% down at its lowest point here in 2026, now only down about 5% year to date. But Meta, just like Visa, is a stock I do not worry about. I expect fully for Meta to be on the top and bottom line. I actually feel like they've kind of been sandbagging their numbers here throughout 2026, which I don't blame them for, considering all of the risks that we just discussed. Why not come in and, have a little concern about your numbers when in reality you know that you can blow those numbers out of the water and then have your stock perform incredibly well throughout the rest of the year. And, one thing that it's actually reminding me of now that I'm thinking of recoveries here, or V-shaped recovery specifically, I'm going to give you a little bit of a sports analogy here with football or soccer, as they call it here in the United States. But it seems to me like the first 4 months here of 2026 have been like the first leg of a knockout round where, just like Real Madrid, take my favorite club in the world, was beat by Bayern 2-1 at home. That's what the first 4 months have felt like here in 2026. We have been beaten. We cannot get a win, but we know that there is more time to go where we can get a recovery and end up with a win. And I am incredibly optimistic for this second leg, if you will, for the remainder of 2026, especially with a stock like Meta, who has had a forward PE that's like under 20, which is insane to me. Meta, again, is a stock that I'm not overly worried about. I have been buying for the last several months. And personally, if Meta comes in with stellar earnings here in the next 2 weeks and just absolutely rockets afterwards, I will not be upset because Meta has been too cheap for too long. And last but not least, the blue line here in the graph. If you've been watching all of my videos for the last month, you already know which one it is. It is Realty Income. And again, if you were to tell me at the beginning of 2026, Realty Income was going to be your best performing stock compared to a stock like Microsoft, which would be your worst, I would have called you crazy. Because while yes, I have a 6% dividend yield with the stock, I really don't expect much in terms of capital appreciation for Realty Income. I mostly just have it for that dividend yield. But to be my top performing stock here of the bunch is absolutely insane. And as far as Realty Income and their future and their earnings, which will be, I don't think their earnings are until May actually. They have been raising that dividend for I forget how many years. Somebody let me know in the comments, but it has been a very long time, longer than I've been alive. So they have weathered the storm plenty of times. They know what high inflation is like. They know what it's like to have geopolitical risk throughout the world. So honestly, whether interest rates go up or down throughout the rest of 2026, I am not concerned when it comes to a stock as great as Realty Income. I'm starting to lose my voice here, so I think I'm going to have to close it out here. Please let me know what you make of all of these stocks in the comments below. If you made it until this point in the video, be sure to give me a like. It helps out tremendously. And as always, a massive thank you to all of my subscribers, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.